Rahub, Maboika, bienvenido and welcome. What's going on? It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful. Who remembers that? Mr. Rogers. Would you be mine? I feel like Mr. Rogers. Crazy. You know, Mr. Rogers used to on his TV show. He was very much into jazz, man, and I used to love it because on his show he used to bring in some jazz musicians, man, jamming out, and that was awesome. I think that's when I first got exposed to jazz like that, was watching Mr. Rogers in the neighborhood. Wow. Anyway, if you see by the heading of this, full faith and credit, also sovereignty, I am going to, with this podcast, we're just going to define some things and, do the research to find it. I'll pull it up. I'll share my screen. And then maybe on other podcast, we'll just go real deep into it. And the reason why I wanted to discuss this, because there's been a discussion lately, you know what I'm saying, about, this whole sovereignty thing, all of a sudden it just started to appear again, you know what I'm saying? It all happened on another podcast. My brother Amu Numa and this Emperor Khufu got in. He was interviewing not a lawyer, a brother that was filing papers on behalf of another man, what we call the master teacher, Malachi Ziyor. So he's filing papers. So he was speaking about things because all of a sudden all this started to come out, and all of this you could trace it all the way back. It all started actually Sonetto, Mark Lamont Hill, and then ever since then things started to escalate a little more and more with on these different podcasts. So people started speaking about it. And to me, in a way, it's a little distraction. In a way, it's a distraction because everyone is trying to focus on something. You know what I'm saying? And the real focus should be on the freedom of this man and the fact that the judicial system was tainted and was corrupted. There's evidence of that. But I understand that you can go all different avenues. Like you study the art of war and you want to pick a target. You're going to come from all different. You're going to have troops on this side, troops on that side, and all concentrating on that one area. So I understand that. I stand to reason of that. That's why I'm just listening and evaluating things, sitting back and listening, because really, I don't know. I would love, if I was younger and I put on the fight and just go out there and do the studies, in the university. But I'm going to be 60 years old, you know what I'm saying? A lot of elders also feels like, what can we do but to sit back and also through experience and validate certain things, you know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, just coming from this moral and ethic appropriation committee venue, and we're going to look into this as to make sure that the youth and everyone, just to make sure that everything is in order. You know what I'm saying? Make sure that everything is ethical and stands on certain moral principles. So, let's unpack this a little. Let me share my screen here. And I know that everyone is feeling wonderful wherever you at, because the cosmos, a lot of things are happening in the cosmic world right now. In the cosmos, it's a beautiful thing, man. You know what I'm saying? There's an intelligent, there is a sense of intelligent design out here. There's a sense of appreciation. That's in us. Remember, the inner is the outer, the inner. So there's that appreciation. It expands at all. It expands through all, the all. It expands because that's what the all is, an expansion, right? Paut, paut. You know, paut. It's expansion, you know. So wherever you at, you know, let that appreciation expand your mind. And let's just unpack this with intelligence, with sound right reasoning, what you call nine mind, sound right reasoning, sound correct, you know, reasoning that we can apply to a lot of this. You know what I'm saying? So, let me share my screen. First thing I want to do is define what is full faith and credit, because it was brought up in the conversation, and a lot of times people bring up to the conversation. You're like, well, what is that? You might have heard of it, but you never really defined it, and you never really, you know, don't understand what it really is. So we're gonna do that now. Let's see. Let me see if I go to my Chrome. Oh yeah, okay. I don't need to share that with you. Let me see. First of all, let's first look at the Webster Dictionary. What's going on here? Come on. Don't do that to me. It should be seen as right now. I should put up, you know what? Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up on my thing here. I could have pulled it up on my computer here, but I'm just going to pull it up over here. Let's see. I want to make sure that I'm online. Make sure that you're viewing the screen that I'm looking at right now. That's important. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. Here I am. Okay. Looks good. Looks good. Let's see. Looks good. Maybe I should do the full screen here. Let me see. Let's go full screen. There you go. And that should be better, right? Okay. And we're here. Full faith and credit. Okay. So the legal definition of full faith and credit, and mind you, this is from the Merriam-Webster. But I don't have my black law dictionary with me, even though there's online. But it seems for some reason it's only going to all A's, and that's a big book. But the legal definition of full faith and credit, the recognition and the enforcement. Now look at the words. Think. Visualize this. Is the recognition, right, and enforcement of the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of one state by another. So it's an interaction of two states, right? Recognizing the other state's laws and the interaction, the enforcement, the recognition. So let's say, for example, the state of New York, and someone is visiting from Tennessee, and something happens in the state of New York to this resident of Tennessee. There's certain, now the court has to figure out what laws are applying. If Tennessee has full faith and credit, then those laws are recognized and are being enforced by certain records and judicial proceedings, right? So sometimes they have to what they call it, expedite you to your state so you can face some charges or something from there, because you crossed the state borders and you violated something. Okay, and that's when the federal comes in with the Mann Act and things like that. So note, unlike comity, full faith and credit is a requirement created by the U.S. Constitution. This is a creation of the U.S. Constitution, and I believe it goes back into the Continental Congress that passes, and it came over to this new Constitution, 1776, and the U.S. Code. A public law or a judicial decision may not, however, be entitled to full faith and credit for a specific reason, as for having been decided by a court not having jurisdiction. Full faith and credit is given only in civil cases. States recognize each other's criminal law through the mechanism of extradition. Oh, there we go. Extradition. Again, the mechanism of extradition. Okay, so this is civil, only in civil cases. Okay, full faith and credit. So I guess that's why the Emperor Khufu mentioned it, that he has full faith and credit. So he's recognized as a state. And the reason why he's recognized as a state, and I seen his paperwork, and then if he established himself as a independent state, he still has to recognize the laws, the court, the judicial proceedings in the court from the other states. And so now you can argue that back and forth. A court is when a court, basketball court, one ball on one side, on side. You know what I'm saying? So that's the definition of full faith and credit. Okay, the recognition and enforcement, very important, of the public acts, records, and judicial proceeding of one state by another. So you can put in records, and those records have to be identified. Those records have to be accepted by other states. You got the Secretary of State, right? And he has to sign off on that. He has to recognize. You have to be able to be recognized in all the other states, and have your. Now, if you're dealing with a state that has its own government, because these states have a government proceeding, and it has certain state laws. This is at a state level, right, and a civil level on civil cases. Okay. And we're going to bring up something because, full faith and credit is also used for child support and things like that. Because it's going from one state into another state, recognizing certain laws to protect the child. You know what I'm saying? So that's what full faith and credit is. Okay? Let me also bring up, this is from the Robert H. Jackson Center, which is a law center. And I don't want to read all this because it's going to be very lengthy. Well, let me just start in the beginning and see how much, and we're going to have to just skip over because it's just redundant. A namesake lecture in memory. This is a lecture in undertaking a more than ordinary challenge to a justice of succeeding generation. Even choice of a fitting subject was difficulty. Okay, one related to work of the court on which he and I both had served might seem appropriate. This is about the Judge Colasso, and this is a lecture that he gave. But I want to come down and bring in where he spoke about what full faith and credit is. And that's on this paragraph. However, the Supreme Court deals with one clause of the Constitution, which seems to be particularly a lawyer's clause, and its problem must have appealed to the lawyerly institutions of Judge Cardoso. The first paragraph of what often is called the federal article reads, the first paragraph of what is called the federal article reads, full faith and credit should be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceeding of every other state. Okay? And the Congress may be a general laws prescribed in the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings should be proved, and the effect thereof. So this clause involves a constitutional aspect of what Judge Cardoso called one of the most baffling subjects of legal science, the so-called conflict of law. Its interpretation is less involved than that of most constitutional provision with social and political consideration. It is concerned with the techniques of law. It serves to coordinate the administration of justice among the several independent legal systems which exist in our federation. Okay? the written law of full faith and credit, the Constitutional Convention of 1787 found the basic faith and credit provision as to the judgments already in the Article of the Confederation. If we turn back into the Continental Congress, we put in it, in the Articles of Confederation, the record leaves its conception obscure by dedicates that its period of gestation was something under 5 days. Okay, now this was drafted. Now, they all contain anything. On November 10th of 1777, Congress appointed a committee to consider sundry propositions that may have been laid upon it. The following day, the committee proposed new article, one of which was the full faith and credit clause. Now, this full faith and credit clause is a article in the Constitution. Okay? The basic provision was adopted and included in the final draft of the article, enacted 4 days later. So they enacted this. Remember, in 1776, the Declaration of Independence came in, and those articles started to become, they started to add on more articles into it. And 4 days later, in November 10 and 1777, this article, what they call full faith and credit, was enacted into, was recognized and was enacted into the Constitution. So this is a constitutional right, full faith and credit, for a state when you deal with civil cases and at a state level. Okay? So it's not so that deep. So what we're doing is a definition. We're going to go in deeper. Now, this is the 28th U.S. Code, 1738B, full faith and credit for child support orders. Because remember, these are civil cases. And this is how full faith and credit comes into play when you deal with child support, especially when you're dealing from state to state. Okay, so the general rule is that the appropriate authorities of each state should enforce according to terms of child support order made consistently with this section by a court of another state, and should not seek or make modification of such an order except in accordance with subsections. Okay, the term child means person under the age of 18. So this breaks down how it deals with child support, full faith and credit in child support. So full faith and credit, again, remember the definitions of it, is the recognition and the enforcement of public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of one state by another. Okay? So now, if you have a group of people that has done the paperwork and they're considered a state, right? And they're fighting a court, the civil case. Then they're taking it up to state, and then they're taking it up to the federal. You know what I'm saying? This full faith and credit, again, is on civil cases. Okay, this is what I'm just reading, so I don't know if things change. I don't know. I'm just trying to trying to dig a little deeply into the definitions and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is if you have a state and you recognize it as a state, your laws, bylaws, all right, are now, those laws can come into another state and they have to recognize it because you got full faith and credit, which is a constitutional right. Right? Puerto Rico is not a state, but it also has full faith and credit because it has a government in place. It has a government in place. It has its constitution. The Constitution of Puerto Rico has a constitution, its own constitution. Now, it's not a state. It's not included in the Corporation of the United States of America, but it's a territory. And the one presiding over that territory is the state of Alabama. Look that up. The Supreme Court proceedings, you know. So it has full faith and credit because those constitutions, those articles in that Constitution of Puerto Rico is recognized. It's a territory, so it's recognized, okay, through the Supreme Court. It is recognized in the other states, so it has full faith and credit. So you don't have to be a state and don't have to full faith and credit. You know that. You don't have to be a state. You just have to in some way have a proceeding, a government that belongs or is being overshadowed, by another state. And that's why I look at his paperwork and you see the DeKalb County, you see Georgia, Tennessee, other states. Okay. Now we're gonna go. Now, like I said, I'm just scratching the surface, so I'm not gonna stay here too long. But I'm just unpacking this a little bit. This is just research. Now, let's see. I'm sorry, you didn't see those other things because I think I have to share that also. Yes, I do have to share those other screens. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so we got the definitions. You see that, right? Now let's go back here. Because I like to show you what I'm reading. Stop screen here. Share again. Share screen. Okay. And here. This is what I wanted to share here. I'm getting a call. In this time of seasons, watch out, everybody. A lot of what they call these calls are coming in. Telemarketers are getting busy. They're trying to get paid before Halloween. At this time of season, right now, those telemarketer calls are coming in. Come on. So here, this is from, again, let me bring it up here so you can see it from the Robert H. Jackson Center. Okay. And again, when you read this part right here, I'll outline it here. So you can see it. I outline it right there. Now it's being outlined. So full faith and credit should be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceeding of every other state. So I want you to read that for yourself. Okay? And if you go on, you can read. Or just look it up. Just go to Robert H. Jackson Center and look up full faith and credit. Okay? Let me get out of here. What else did I show you? I did show you something else. Hold on a second. That's the definition. Here's the code that I was showing you. And this is the 28 U.S. Code, the 1738B, full faith and credit for child support orders. And you can look up the Legal Information Institute from Cornell Law School. And I should have brought us some stuff from NYU because that's where I went. So this is we're just defining what it is, because a lot of people say things and we may not understand it, and we got to understand, why is this important? I want to bring something else. Now, why is this so important about the case for the freedom of the master teacher? Well, let's do a little research on that. Let's do the research of why it's a person gonna make a claim like, I can get the master teacher out because I got full faith and credit. You know what I'm saying? So our laws, our bylaws under the Yamasi, the empire, my empire, those laws and bylaws are recognized by every state. I got the paperwork. And yeah, you got the paperwork for yourself. Sovereignty. And now you say you have to create a ship. You want to move this ship. Which I want to say real briefly, in order to move a ship, and a ship has a captain up on top, right? On the bridge, who navigates the ship, but underneath, in below on that ship, you got those men that are putting the coals that the captain could call down and said, I need more power, and then put more coal into the furnace to give you more energy, so to make the ship move. So you need people power in order to make that ship move. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with this corporation. When it first started, it needed a ship. It needed recognition of another country, which was Morocco. And it also needed the people power. In order to get this corporation in motion, it needed the people power and the gold that it had, and the gold and silver, right? And the commodity that this country had. In order to make that ship go, it needed the people's energy, power, and it deals a lot with commodity, commercial, and all of that. So just bear that in mind, okay? So like I said, I'm just researching. I'm looking at this from a nine mind, information, correct, sound information, okay? That we can research and put the pieces together, okay? So I want to bring something up here. Share screen. I want to read you something here, and not that I believe everything I read, but it's very interesting that this came up. And this is from a book, okay? This is from a book. And this is the birth of a schism, right? Schism, realism, schism. I don't know. This book was The Nuwaubian Nation, Black Spirituality, and State Control, right? And when I researched, because I seen in the paperwork that this name appeared, Dr. Derek H. Sander appeared on the paperwork, and he was the Grand Master that gave him the, I guess, nationalize him, or not nationalize him in a way, but gave him the paperwork, which we'll speak about later on, about the whole Egyptian Church of Karas, and you know what I'm saying, because those are organizations that was put in place. This is a religious organization, that was put in place. And remember that when it comes to religion, like the Catholic Church, I'm going to look that up, and I know the Catholic, do they have full faith and credit? Yes, because they serve as an embassy, and their constitution and their laws are based in the Vatican City, right? Which it's separate from Italy, Vatican City. It's its own state. It's its own country. You know what I'm saying? And the enforcements are from Switzerland. The Swiss guards are the enforcements that's there. They have a contract with Vatican City. All of this we have to really think about and see how these things work, okay? And that's why I said that this Malachi master, our master teacher, Malachi Z. York, Yanin, was ahead of his time. And I see where he was heading. It's ahead of his time. You know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of everything being unpacked. You know what I'm saying? So, unbeknownst to York at the time, a hot debate over the issue of employing a quasi-legal strategy of common law was facilitating a schism inside the ranks of the United Nuwaubian Nation. One of York's disciples, Derek Sanders, has stepped into the power vacuum in the wake of his master teacher's arrest. Okay? He had filed papers with various government officials that asserted patriot sovereignty issues using common law procedures. While York was asking the court to recognize him as a Native American Moor who should be returned to the jurisdiction of his tribe, Sanders was simultaneously filing his own rogue arguments based on the patriots' mythologized version of American history. Now this is their perspective, okay? All right? This is their perspective. Myth is mystery. Myth is that my story. It's not history, it's our story, okay? Now, Sheriff Seal told a journalist that his office had received a packet of documents ordering York's release. One document bearing an Egyptian-style hieroglyphic watermark was sent by the Yamasee Native American government and the Mount Arafat Embassy. Now look at the words they're using, Mount Arafat Embassy. in charge that diplomats of the government and embassy were being inconvenienced by U.S. governmental and private employees. A 6-page ex parte order for release was signed by a certain Dr. Derek H. Sander L., Elder, Grand Master Consul for Mount Arafat Embassy of the Yamasee Native American Government, original Cherokee, Seminole Creek, Shoshone, Wichita Mound builders. Now, Sanders claimed in his document that Dwight York was not a legal person born and naturalized in the federal United States. That to me is an inconsistency, because Dwight York. Yeah. Well, we're going to unpack that later on for a discussion. We're going to go dig deep into that. Now, born or naturalized in the federal United States and was therefore not subject to the jurisdiction and the legislative democracy of the federal United States. He demanded that York be released instanter to the custody of the Mount Arafat Embassy to be secured by the Yamasee Native Americans. Included in the packet was a document purportedly signed by Governor Sonny Perdue and a facsimile of the state of Georgia seal. Now, Mr. Kimberly King, a spokeswoman for Governor Perdue, told Rob Peacher of the Macon Telegraph, these documents appear to be fake. Sheriff Seal noted that the Derek Sanders document resembled other documents previously sent to him by the Montana Freeman, Leon Everett Stout, ordering the country coroner to arrest the sheriff. He dismissed Sanders' missive as an elaborate package of ridiculous documents and predicted more foolishness in the case preceding the trial. See? Now, 2 years later, Sanders appeared in the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of Georgia on the 21st of August, 2005, charged with engaging in conduct that substantially interfered with the administration and enforcement of the Internal Revenue laws. He had been involved in a tax fraud scheme involving 36 clients to whom he supplied a substitute IRS form, the W-8BEN, that he had claimed would allow them to be exempt from federal taxes. He was at the same time spearheading a schism in the Nuwaubian movement by claiming that he was the Grand Master Consul of the Yamasee Native American of Eatonton, Georgia, also known as Mount Arafat Embassy Clan. Derek Sanders' common law strategy was attacked fiercely by York loyal followers on the www.unnm.com website. One author of the Watchers queries, why this Wichita Nation crap? If you research the Wichita Nation headed by the Empress Verdacy, you will find they signed a treaty with the Republic of Texas. Texas is its own republic. Texas operate differently, which is an anti-governmental group that links to the Freemen. Do the research. Deep. Okay? So this is just looking into this. Looking into, we're just looking into this. Let me bring something else up in here. Oh, man, what is this? Okay, I found another article here. And not that I believe all this stuff, because this is NuwaubianFacts.com. Let me see. Let me bring this up. Was I? Oh, man, don't tell me I wasn't sharing that. Damn. Man, what's going on, man? What's going on? What's going on with this? You can see it. Can you see that? Oh, man. Okay, you should be able to see that, yeah. So maybe maybe it was. There's a delay. Okay, there's a delay here. Okay. People claiming to be, okay. These photos were taken off the website that Derek Sanders put up, and the children in the photo that they were violating with teaching them to smoke a pipe in our Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle's blood grandchildren We, the real Yamasee, don't smoke anything. These people are imposters and teaching our younger generation the wrong message. Who in their right minds will let their children smoke anything? Now, to view the photos, let's view those photos. Here they are. You know, they're having them smoke the peace pipe, I guess. Maku, Thunderbird Eagle grandson being violated. You know. So I don't know. I mean, this is culture, and I don't know at what age, according to Native Americans, we don't know at what age is a child could be smoking this. Wow, look at this. This story goes in deep, yo. This story goes in deep. Okay? Now, let me read this, yeah? This is the story of Grand Chief Black Hawk Thunderbird and the MAECYNA. This is dedicated to my personal family only. About the MAECYN and Chief Black Hawk, this is family business. It was requested of me that I give you the whole story, or at least as much of the story as I can in the short time. A lot of this is online, people. A lot of this is online. I mean, if you look at over here, it got what is yellow journalism. A lot of this is online. But this is the brother from the Arafat. This is his comeback. This is what he had to say. I am Makul Aswuz Sagar, Commanding Chief of the Mount Arafat Embassy Clan, Yamasee Native American. Pronounced on our language, Mun Barafa Shagrub Gabalu Yamasi Asalei Amrakat. Now, Derek Homie Sander is the name my parents gave me at birth. My grandmother is from the original Cherokee. The Cherokee, just as the Yamasee Creek. You see, the Yamasee, Cherokee, and all those Native American comes under the Creek. And others were part of the We the People Society, the Aninuyang. Aninuyang is We the People Society. You know, that's the Orokois also means Orokois, means also We the People. Okay, the Yamasee, the Creek, the Cherokee, Blackfeet Clan, and many others are one of the same. We are all family. We the People is spoken in Lehumet in Yamasee. Along our family, I was called Ramesses Meri Amun. Ramesses, Ra has chosen him. I am chosen by the evolution of time, nature, this part of the mission. Meri, beloved of the Amun, hidden, and that takes us back to Ray. But I have been purposely hidden, not in the background, but amongst you, operating in plain sight for this mission. Okay? This is his word. You know, and you go down, also known as Abdul Latif, servant of the most subtle one, Abdullah, Muhammad, okay? Because these are the different schools that Wapians went through. And we all got different names for whatever school we was in. Like I in the school of Islam, I was known as Abdul Sabor Abdullah Muhammad. You know, Abdul Sabor, servant of the patient one, right? My given name, my government name, my given name is Carlos Alberto Hernandez Jr. Pachot, right? For my mom's and father, you know what I'm saying? And then I got the name Sabur, okay? Council of Nine, name Sabur, one of the judges sitting in the Council of Nine. And I don't have a Taino name. I was supposed to, because there's a certain ceremony that you have to receive in order to get certain names. You know what I'm saying? AEO name was Kepra Shua Seb, but I don't know if that was really given by the master teacher. It links up with, you know, because I did my own research on that. But, you know, at that time at AEO, they said that the priestess, the high priest, whoever Amtumre, or also Malakadio appointed, will put that your application at the chest, and they will say some chant, some prayer, and everything, and the name will come up. I don't know how true that is or whatever. Some people think that's pseudo, but that's on them, you know what I'm saying? That's just a ritual. That's how we did things. Now he says, I've studied as a student of Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, which is another name, the Native American name for Panabayanan. He come in all the schools of thought. He carried a name with him. Okay, other from this brotherhood of masters, like Brigadier William Darien Sir of the Salvation Army, also Reverend Bentley, founder of the Black Clergyman Council and Emmanuel Institution Baptist Church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, home of what he called practical religion, and my parents, Homie and Viola Sanders L. My father is the late Honorable Homie Sanders Jr., son of the Honorable Homie Sanders Sr. and the Honorable Anise Hayes Sanders. Both Homie Sr. and Anise were descendants of the free Native American slaves residing in the Barnwell-Yamasee region of the South Carolina Territory. Remember this. Online writer, okay? Among the other black nations who existed in America before Columbus. Now, my question is this. Yamasee, what documentations do these Native Americans have also of the Millennium Navy coming to the shores of America and mixing in? Like Abu Bakr II bought almost 600 ships. That's a lot of people coming to North America. Okay? And then mixing in with the natives. Okay? To create the tribes, like you know what I'm saying? Because if you know that some Native American wear turbans, some wear fez hats, who were the ones that wore turbans, and some were feathers. Okay? So we had to figure out, you know what I'm saying, what do you have? Now, among the other black nations who existed in the Americas before Columbus and long before Christ were the Yamasee, who had a large kingdom in the southeastern United States, where Abu Bakr came to. These descendants were among the first black of pre-Columbian American origins who fell victim to the kidnapping for the purpose of enslavement. Right? Blacks of South America and the Caribbean and Central America were also attacked and enslaved based on a pontificate passed to the mid-1400s by the church hierarchy, giving the Europeans the go-ahead to enslave. That's the papal bull. Enslave our children of Ham. Okay? They use a religious narrative. We're the children of Ham and all that. That's where the Israelites get all this stuff from, man. To be honest, and the Moors get this from. Founded in newly discovered territory. Now, the descendants of the Yamasee are the millions of blacks who live in Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and northern Florida. The Honorable Viola Ben, my grandmother, of the original Cherokee Native American, was my mother's instructor, and my mother was my first instructor. I also perform personal research and have also found sittings with elders and chiefs of other clans. A large part of this next section is my family members. I am Black Hawk, your brother. I am long-standing elder in with the family. To some of you, I'm father, father-in-law, I'm grandfather. Okay. Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle himself appointed me as chief amongst the Yamasee in 1995. Upon the original charter of our family mission, we relocated from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Eatonton, Georgia in April of 1997 as Mount Arafat Holy Tabernacle, bringing with us what was to become the foundation of our school system. This information was not shared with Nawapian security. Now here where it gets interesting, y'all. It was on a need-to-know basis at the time, the black light, Nawapian security, the black light. Remember I showed you the picture of Amtumre and the Mosby Strip and the procession of Osiris? Those brothers behind them, that Matun, Danielle, Stutter passed away, Abu Sami, them brothers, that fez they're wearing, that symbol is the black light. That was the security for the Nawapian security. Okay? Now they did not need to know. You ask me why? I did not trust this organization. He didn't trust the Black Light organization. And this always happens in city-state. We're a nation. We're city-state, and this always happens. You have a military state, the military clan, and you got the governmental clan, you got the elders, all of this. And sometimes there's a little friction amongst them. This is understandable, okay? Okay, so he says, for the MAECYNA, that's my call to make. I turned out to be right. Ultimately, some of these very same men, along with their contemporary, will share responsibility for the separation between the MAECYNA and the rest of the family. Disgrace of the UNNM, the arrest of the Grand Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, and for the illegal confiscation of the Yamasee land. Yes, folks, some of our enemies were working from the inside, and they were in full force, even back that far. You could take this to Ansar, man. There was just some agents in there, you know what I'm saying, causing friction. But that happens. That happens. That's the reason why when even in the Corporation of the United States of America, you see the Joint Chief of Staff. They have their power. And they're sitting right there next to when the president gives his State of Union, he has them present right there. You know what I'm saying? And before they even discuss anything, the Joint Chief of Staff have to be present because that's your military force. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, you know, if the military goes rogue, then you got to split in your corporation. You got to split in your country. It happens, folks. It happens. Nothing new, it happens. You know? No. So earlier I printed in October 1997, but it was in September 1997 when a delegation from the Black Light, who were from security for the United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors, get this, which was the Native Americans, check the original Constitution of 1992 cover page. Let me read that again. Earlier I printed in October 1997. But it was in September of 1997 when a delegation from the Black Light, who were from the security for the United Nuwaubian Nation of Moors, get this, which is and was of the Yamasee Native American, check the original Constitution of 1992 cover page, visited me at my home in Eatonton, Georgia. Many people had moved into the town that year to answer the call of nature to return to our homeland, and to the invitation from the Grand Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle. At first, it was reported that Latif and his people, they didn't know what Mount Arafat was, but said that we had come to town in competition with Chief Black Eagle and were upsetting the town people with stories of extraterrestrials. A meeting was called under the train station in our land in Kadesh, when Grand Chief Black Eagle learned of the numbers of people that had moved into town. He was amazed and very happy, and we were happy. So many people from so many different places from around the country showed up under the train station that Chief Black Eagle learned the truth, that we all were answering the call to come home. This is not an attempt to usurp any position or positioning. He reconvened the meeting in the temple that day and declared Eatonton now Kadesh. This did not make the Black Light happy, but they would not relent. Declaring Eatonton Kadesh gave the Black Light jurisdictional issues in town. I don't get it. How? I don't get it. To me, the MAECYNA, this was the beginning of a nightmare. Mount Arafat came with about 30 of its members, our tabernacle. There were hundreds of others from tabernacle all over the country. The MAECYNA planned like others to one day live on the Native American land of Kodesh. When the Black Light learned from one of their spies that Mount Arafat was studying and mastering the Yamasee Constitution of 1992, they used this as an opportunity to derail our progress and politely asked me to leave town. They also took that opportunity to intimidate hundreds of others. Let me tell you about that. Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle had just published the original Yamasee Constitution. All of the family was given the opportunity to declare their nationality as members of the nation. Many of us did. There was a page at the end of that Constitution book with an affidavit that we were to sign, get notarized, and to return it to the office on Kadesh. Became known as Tamare. I and my family, 4 Tabernacle clan, along with one homeless family, a brother and their son, that we had taken plan to sit and study our new Constitution. This brother was a spy. I'm not sure he knew it though. Why did I say that? He showed up to the meeting with the black light. These men did not seem to be happy with what they saw. They were hoping to see a crowd of people sitting and listening to me. They were hoping to, yeah. And what they told me. This was not the case. It was just me and my family, the way it's supposed to be. There seems to be laws as to what to do next. And I asked why. The head of security said that they were hoping to see more family. I told them that I did not know how to contact very many people in town yet. But that the brother that brought them to me does. That they asked me to ride around town with the help of their spy, the brother I had befriended, and to let the people know that the black light would like to meet with family in Eatonton at 6 o'clock that night in my yard. I complied. All of these people were told that they were not welcome in Eatonton and that they should return to their places of origin. I remember that. I'm not to be personal, but I remember a sister that was told, and that they were coming from maybe from Canada or whatever, and they were told to leave. They weren't so polite with others. The representative of the Black Light told one brother if he did not leave that night, his life would be in danger. The brother left town that night. So I don't know, we need to have a conversation to see was all this true and just to unpack certain things, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, this happens. This is nation building. Nation building. It happens. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to unpack this and study and look at it and figure out how is this going to help free. And when people appears from everywhere to come on the internet, because now they're giving access to many viewership and stuff, and they're propagating themselves on here. But it's like, well, how is this going to free Panaba Yanun? How's that going to free Malachi Z. or Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle? How is it going to free him? You see, we got to keep that in mind. Okay? Now, to me, that was ridiculous in reality. Oh, he said to me, Latif, we have gone back 20 years to find something on you, and we can't. So could you please leave town? You attract too much attention from Chief Black Eagle. To me, that was ridiculous. In reality, the Black Light knew that they could not control the MAECYNA, and they wanted us out of their way, and I and the MIC, which is the Mount Arafat Embassy of the Yamasi, right? And my family were banned from the land and were informed that the Native American issue were no longer to be part of the Nuwapi immediate agenda. I was informed by the Black Light that their Native American issue will fall under the Yamasi Native American Moors of the Creek Nation, and that they were applying for recognition with the BIA, which is the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We were being betrayed and denied by the very people we came to work with. Don't believe me, check it out. I asked them if Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle knew of what they were doing, and I got no response. You know? So we got to think, why would Chief, if the Black Light is security and the head of the state, are they operating separately from the crown? You know, there has been a situation where that happened, but that's when the coup d'etat happens. They take over, right? But I never seen anybody from the Black Light come into that position where they were in that position to take over and oust Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle. I don't know any situation like that, any brother, right? So if this was coming from Chief Black Eagle, why would he do something like this? Like, for instance, when he instructed the case again with Paul Light. Instructed Paul Light, get these people out of there. They depreciate. Why would he want to get these people out? And we come to learn that the depreciation of the building, and I myself can attest to that. The building was being depreciated. And there was plans for the future of that. So the master teacher had to move a certain way to get certain things to happen. So what would have prompted the master teacher? What would have prompted him to act this way? If it was coming from him. You know what I'm saying? So That year in October of 1997, the MACYNA left Eatonton, Georgia. I was invited to return by the Grand Chief himself to a costume celebration in November of that same year. I and my wife attended in prison attire. Wow. That's some creepy shit. Prison attire. Look at that. Dressed as inmates carrying balls and chains. But when I attempted to return for a family gathering the next day, I was asked to leave, and I was escorted from the land and told that the Nuwaubians had banned the MAECYNA from our land. But you see, that's the reason why Sherrod, and read between the lines. Why would Sherrod Seal make a statement like, this is only one nation, the nation of the United States of America. There's no other nation. You know what I'm saying? Because there were people putting out information out there about our nation building. They were going back and they were revealing those things. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the problem, that's where the exposure, that's where that comes in. It's crazy. We got to shut our mouth and move, So, but that's interesting that he's going to show up to a costume celebration in prison attire. What is he trying to say? What is he trying to invoke? You know what I'm saying? What is he trying to say? What is he trying to invoke? What does he know? And this is in 1997. So on March 2nd, 2003, the elders of Mount Arafat Holy Tabernacle declare Black Hawk, Grand Chief of our MACYNA clan, Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, Grand Chief of the Yamasee Nation of the American of the Creek Nation has since gone to sleep, gave his blessing, recognized and acknowledged that Mount Arafat Holy Tabernacle is the official Yamasee clan of this Yamasee family again in 2003. That's why this brother Khufu said that that crown was vacated according to their paradigm, the Native American paradigm. You know what I'm saying? Because I would vacate. There's a lot of mess going on with this Native American tribe. These brothers coming from all over, grabbing these seats, taking this paperwork and filing this paperwork on their own. They were moving constitutionally. My recognition of Chief Black Eagle will cause friction in the family, yet like him, I, Black Hawk, will permit no wedge between me and him. Well, yeah. So it was upon mutual agreement between the two chiefs, as is Native American custom, our clan, the Mount Arafat Embassy clan, became a sister clan, but would have to carry its own burden towards the self-determination, self-government. And I understand that. And that's where Emperor Khufu comes in. He comes from that. And also the other brother Nayel Shabbat, they come from that vein. They had to go on their own. And now they know that in order for them to move that ship, the ship that was constructed by Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, that ship that he built, and they put themselves on the bridge, they need now people power. The MAECYNA is neither a club nor fraternity. The MACYNA is not an order nor a church. As individuals, we may belong to any of the above type organization, as this matter of personal self-determination, which all man has a right to. So what is the MACYNA? Okay, for the record, personally, I am standing member, not the authority of a standing member of the several spiritual order, all which are one. I risen through the ranks from Illa to Master, Grand Master to El in these orders. I am also a member of the Yamasee Egyptian Church of Karast. That's my personal family. Family, are you with me in this? We are coming to get you. The MAECYA is a custodian of a non-religious government for the Yamasee Native American, and I am her Grand Chief. My responsibility is to the Yamasee Issues Order. It is not my job to run other functions within the family. I'm not here to replace the master teacher. It is part of our mission to recover that which was lost and taken from us. That's cool. That's cool. That is cool. If you remember, we had the MA, which stands for Mount Otter, Fob, Embassy, Cherokee, Yamasee, Native American, were banned from our land by the Black Light. This was an organization that was designed to be our security. They were the first to betray us. They even tried to convince Chief Black Eagle that I, Latif, had started a new mission in town of Eatonton, Georgia, complete with a huge signs claiming to be the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek, lodge number 18, because on the land it was lodge number 19. No one ever saw such a sign because that was a complete fabrication. They, the Black Light, caused so much mischief for the MAECYNA, it was hard for us to tell who was friend or foe, family or enemy. Then the darkest day came when Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle was betrayed and arrested, and all the walls began to fall. The MAECINA went into action only to be stifled by our own family again. Believe it or not, members of the office were told by Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle to ally with the MAECYNA, but they were so afraid of our intentions that we failed at the time. In the fall of 2003, there was a family meeting in the Temple of Tamaray. In attendance were the Yamasee Native American Moors of the Creek Nation, the MAECNA staff, other Nuwaubians, and Nuwaubian security. That night, members of the MAECYNA staff were asked to leave the family hall, and once again by the security department. On that night, the entire family will learn that Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, Grand Chief of the Yamasee Native American Moors of the Creek Nation, acknowledged Chief Black Hawk and the Mount Otter Embassy of the Cherokee and Yamasee Native American through his trusted staff and his daughter from Tamaray, on behalf of Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle and upon his request. His daughter is publicly acknowledged as Chief Black Hawk and Mount Otter Shugoth, Gabela, Yamasee, Asale, American to the family during that fall meeting of 2003. The security was asked to stand down, and they did. This is our story. This is the native. So much, man. It's interesting. So, Grand Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle at Mount Arafat. I still have the card, and when the flowers wilt, I also saved them. June the 26th of 2005, we were visited at Mount Arafat by envoys from the Bassa tribe of the Yamasee Native American. Among them was their internal chief, who informed us that Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle had learned of someone in the office of Tamaray declaring the original constitution of the Yamasee shelved. The Bassa chief was carrying letters and copies of letters addressed to her from Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, giving the Bassa tribe, the Yamasee natives, suggestions on how they might proceed. A well-documented photographed ceremony of the peace treaty entered into effect June the 26th of 2005. Between Chief Black Hawk and Mount Arafat, Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, and the Bassa tribe of the Yamasee Native American. Part of that visit was dedicated to the reinstating of the original Yamasee Constitution of 1992. I gladly granted their request. Why? I will answer that. Just not right now. The interim chief of the Bassa tribe came with the amendments of the Bassa tribe of the Yamasee Native American. No other so-called Yamasee tribe in the family has come and made the appropriate steps towards the unity between Native American and the family as the Bassa tribe has. The treaty was delivered via the Bassa chief, who is one of the Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle's well-known and still entrusted spiritual daughters. Signed in ceremony, dove blood with genuine quill by her and venerated elders accompanying her. Myself, Chief Black Hawk Thunderbird, and some of my staff, I still maintain dear photos of the ceremony. I was informed that part of the ceremony was to pass an official Yamasee medicine wheel on to me. I got that medicine wheel. A ceremony reuniting the two tribes, which I still possess. Okay, so I'm not gonna keep reading it. Well, Ned, this is the last paragraph, so let me just read this. The Basachai was advised to stand down by the elder until they are called forward. I agree. Why? I answer that at a later date. I'll answer that at a later date. The Bassa tribe is not, nor will it be the replacement for the MIECNA. I, Chief Black Hawk Thunderbird, remain the only present Yamasi Grand Chief Save Grand Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, and MAECYNA is the custodian of our government. My successor have been chosen. She knows who she is, and I will hope you will get to greet her soon. No, I, Grand Chief Black Hawk Thunderbird, am not responsible for the content of this treaty. I do recognize that Bassa tribe, we are old school, we live akin. In other words, we live for and by each other. Remember that. Are you there? Are you ready? In February 2004, Mount Arafat Embassy Clan Yamasee Native American undertook illegal action, whereas the official Yamasee Native American government for our clan presented an agreement, a constructed agreement, once referred. This was done in 2004. Said agreement, constructed agreement, whereas document is presented in accord and with protected by the MAECYNA Constitution, Statute 2 and Part 2, Inum and Lahum at Mun Barufat. Okay, yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. Then it goes into the statutes and everything. So you're just going to have to just. Yeah. You're just going to have to go. So the reason why I got into this and read it, because this is what. Let me stop. All right. This is what wanted to find out the backstory. The backstory, because Emperor Khufu mentioned a lot of things. So we wanted to know what was the backstory, read it for ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that this is all factual, but this is the Black Hawk speaking himself in this letter. And things seems to add up. Remember, truth are all the pieces of the puzzle adding perfectly together. So there was a lot of things said that did add up, because I was able to, yes, I was able to experience certain things and to know what was going on at that time. You know what I'm saying? Even though I was finding my way, but I still knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? So things add up, but there was much more that I learned that I didn't know, and that's the whole Native American school, which is difficult school, man, because when you deal with Native Americans, you're dealing with something that predates the Catholic Church, predates the corporation, the Catholic Church. It just predates. You know what I'm saying? That's why I told the brother, what artifacts you have? What do you have to tie yourself to the land, and what artifacts you have? You know what I'm saying? Because that's something that the master teacher was working on when he was constructing the Edfu Museum, where he wanted to put certain artifacts in there. You know what I'm saying? As to solidify who we are as a nation. Every nation has artifacts. Every nation has a museum or the Department of Antiquities. You know what I'm saying? That's important. That's how you run a state. You know what I'm saying? Those are the bridge. That's the bridge. Not a bridge. Those are other compartments that are important. That helps the ship because they help the morale of the people. You need the morale. You need the people power to move that ship. And you need their morals to be up. If you don't feed them right underneath, feeding the coal into the ship, if you don't feed them right and they're undernourished, then how can you get these men to work for you? And if you don't feed them morals and concepts and ideas and concepts, if you don't feed them the right way, how are you going to get them to move with you as a one body, a state? How are you going to do that? You got to feed the morals. This corporation in the beginning fed the morals of a lot of the, the Southerners and the different states, the morale and fixed their roads, and federal came in, the roads came in, and they worked together on creating an environment that's livable, and so they'll get the morale up. And part of it is also in the Department of Antiquities and saying that, wow, look at this artifact. This goes way back. This goes back 50,000 years. This goes back 100,000 years. Man, we unearthed a mummy. And now with the technology, we can do the DNA. We can tie ourselves to that land. Like the Taínos tied themselves to the island of Borinquen and Jamaica and Haiti. You know what I'm saying? In Cuba. Because they have artifacts. They have the genetic tracing and they have the artifacts. They have the technology to do that in their own universities. Okay? And then they take them out to other universities as to confirm it with other universities. You know? But that's important. That is so very important. You want to get the morals of the people. You know? And so I see that's what's happening now. And how you get to, we have to again get the morale of our people up as to also say, hey, listen, we're going to focus on the freedom of the master teacher. Now, a lot of us got different techniques. Just as long as what you using is not detrimental. You're not burying him more in paperwork. And at the same time, you're keeping it limit, paperwork, and you're targeting. You know, my thing is the judicial process. You know what I'm saying? It's corrupted. Because I believe you should save the judicial system. The whole concept of judicial judging. Because that's my name, Sabor. In ancient Kemet, you also had judges. In Samaria, you had judges, overseers, what they call the overseers, the Nataru, that fly a certain flag. You know what I'm saying? So I have my flag that I have to fly. You know what I'm saying? As a judge, as my seat. You know, so you're going to see 9 flags flying. 9 flags in the seat of the Morals and Ethic Appropriation Committee, the Council of 9. And then you got 24 elders. Each nome has 24 elders. It's a system that's already there, but it's an ancient system. It's not a new system. It wasn't created by the master teacher, just unearthed it. He reformed it. Resurfaced it, and reformed this governmental system. And all corporation could benefit from this. All corporation. And when you have a corporation, a United States corporation, you have this judicial system that's tainted, and you allow, because not everybody is honorable. Right? But as a judge, a certain oath you have to be honorable. And when you're tainted and you're corrupted, that needs to be put out there to save the judicial system. Save it. This is an ancient system that go back what the corporation borrowed from. This goes back to Rome. This goes back into Babylonia. This goes back into ancient Kemet, into Africa. Those big civilizations in the Nile Valley. This goes way back. Save it. Why distort it? Why destroy it with individuals that are not doing the right thing? And we're going to use the case of Malachi, New York. We're going to use that case to demonstrate an inconsistency, to demonstrate a distortion of the judicial system. And that's where I'm at. Let's save the planet. Yeah, let's save the world. Let's save our economy system, because we're in it. Okay? We're in it. Let's become a people that are from the benefits of everybody around us. Let's bring the carbon footprint down. Yes, let's protect ourselves. But then let's watch those that use that detrimentally. They use that to cover up their scheme that they have. You know, those agenda initiative that they have, hidden agendas and agendas and initiative. But now with the 4th Industrial Revolution, and now with all the radio waves and the solar wind bombarding this earth, and the frequency is going up, people are starting to wake up. Wake up. So yeah, let's save the whales. Let's save the ocean. Let's save our land. You know what I'm saying? Let's save the animals. Right? Let's save the planet. Let's save our judicial system of how humanity, of how we conduct with each other, how we keep check and balance. Let's save the government. We know the government is corrupted. And we have every right to change things from within. So yeah, I believe, yeah, I can go where we can establish our own state, but we have to deal with other states. And we got to make sure that those states are dealing in proper appropriation of proper morals and ethics. Because if they not, that's going to leak over to your state. You know? So this is galactical. This is global. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, you know, it's so important, man. It's non-trivial that definitely we need to save the planet. That's one. Definitely, we need to save the ecological system. We need to save the judicial system. And you know what? Save the government too. You know, get to know your councilman. If you're a person that's into law, get to run for office. Get to know your councilman, your Congress, and all that. Okay? Get to know those people around you, because it's going to trickle down to you no matter what. It's going to trickle down. And even if you consider yourself to be sovereign and you don't involve yourself with that construct, but guess what? It's still going to affect you, because you still have to use their commodity to function your vehicle. You still have to do that, because when you sign papers and you accept for value and you take control of the account, the QSIP number, your social security, your bank, and you take control, you have to prove to these people that you're capable of filing the right paper, that you're capable. You're not ward of the court. You see, you're not ward to anybody. That you're capable of sound mind to construct yourself in a beneficial way. You have to prove that. You know, even like reparation, those fighting for reparation, you're gonna give $300,000 to everyone out there, every Black American or any ex-slave, descendants of ex-slave. You know what? It's gonna have. You know the problems that's gonna come. Come on now. There's no body. There is no one governmental body to have that happen. So reparation, yes, was given to the Japanese because they look at their communities. They function as one. You know what I'm saying? Israel got reparation. Look at their community. Look what they did. So now you got to look at us here. If you're going to get reparation over here, what I say before reparation comes responsibility. Responsibility. And you have to have responsible people in place. People that are not afraid to stand on proper morals and ethics. And protect those people. Protect them. So that other corporations or the state does not infringe on them. It gets very, 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 I'm telling you, man, this goes deep. So think about it. So listen, I'm going to leave you there. Peace and blessings to everybody. Have a beautiful day. It's beautiful. I'm going to get out there and walk a little bit just to get outside the house. You know, I've been locked up in this house over here. You know, like I said, I move between the pharmaceuticals and the natural herbs and stuff. I like the natural herbs because I feel better, but then sometimes I get afraid because sometimes my blood pressure goes up and my glucose goes up because they took my gallbladder. I'm telling you personally. And so I have to be very careful what I eat too. So I cut out the bread. Right now I'm doing wraps. You know, like wheat wraps and spinach wraps, and that's what I'm eating. I'm cutting out the bread little by little. I'm cutting out the rice. You know, so I do brown jasmine rice, but I've now gotten wild rice, and I enjoy that the most, the wild rice. I make that myself. But unfortunately, my family doesn't eat like I eat, so I got to be careful of that. Sometimes, it's a battle. Also, you have to be willing to change your environment and things around you. I taught about that, right? I spoke about that, and now I'm applying it. You have to change things around you. I was just watching Billy, and real quickly, Billy Carson and his mate, Elizabeth, right? The biohack. They got good content, man. I'm beginning to like Billy Carson. Got some good content bringing. So Billy Carson made the same. He says, when my other mate, I lost everything. You know what I'm saying? Because the vibe wasn't right, and I lost everything. I was a millionaire, and I lost everything. And then all of a sudden, when he got together with this sister he got now, he says things just build back up. So he says you got to watch your relationship with people around you. You know what I'm saying? You have to watch your relationship with people around you. You have to make sure that they're capable, that they are a financial literacy, that they have financial literacy. You know what I'm saying? That they're not illiterate, that they don't know anything about finance. I'm learning a lot. And I'm going to do because it deals with commodity and stuff, so we also have to deal with that also. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of brothers that trying to get the sovereignty, but they got jacked up credit. So how can you be a creditor if you don't know how to handle it, because you never show that you were able to, you know, even if you're a debtor and you was dealing with credit cards, you show that you're not of sound mind. You don't know how to handle credit card. You think that you got $1,000 credit, that you actually got $1,000 credit. No, you got 1/3 of that. It's all you can spend, and keep it that amount, because your credit is like gold. It's their system. You got to learn how to use that system. And then when you get yourself out of that system and you use your own system, you got to make sure that your own system is not going to be a sinking ship. You know, you want to navigate the waters on your own ship, your little boat. You know what I'm saying? Well, you got to make sure that your little boat don't got holes in it. And that comes by your habitual habits. You know? So that whole plays. So I'm gonna do a talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one who's to be so financially literate, but I'm learning a lot. You know what I'm saying? I'm still trying to get this paper option thing is crazy, because before I go into option trading, I think I advise you go to paper trading, because they give you $1 million in like monopoly money, and you learn how to trade. So you're actually trading, you know what I'm saying, in real time, but you're dealing with monopoly, fictitious money, right? And you're learning and you're getting your technique, because everybody has a different technique. So you're learning, you're doing more research on companies, and you're learning how to deal with this, right? Out of $1 million, I lost $33, so I'm still learning. Once I get that down packed, then I could put my money into the option trading. You know, you could start with $1,000, and then every day that you make $100 is good enough for me. That's good. It's just another stream. I got other streams coming in, so that one stream, $100, boom, all right, bang, I'm good. And it only takes me 30 minutes to make $100. So now I could have the rest of the day to afford to put myself into another business. You know what I'm saying? I might have a store to run, or I might have a job, or different things. Or it gives me more time for me to work on my paperwork for, to my trust account, and my whole life. Right now I'm speaking with brokers, you know what I'm saying? And, so I'm learning. I'm still learning. So I'm not one to be financially stable. I'm stable now at my level that I'm at. I'm pretty stable. Okay. I've gotten a lot of help. I'm pretty stable. It's just that I want to get, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. And I want to make sure that I got other streams. And I want to set a legacy for the future, because I want my children and grandchildren to have a better opportunities. So I have to also, as you educate yourself, you have to educate those people around you, because you got to make sure they're on the right track. Because if not, they could bring you down. You get together with anybody, you marry a person, you get together with any person, they don't have a good credit, that's going to affect you. You don't want a person around you that's always like, I need this, I need that, I want this, I want that. No, you don't want that. Let's instead of looking at each other's eyes and saying I wanted it, let's both look in the same direction and pick a point and go to that point together. That's true appreciation. That's true love. Not gazing into each other's eyes. It's two eyes gazing at one focus. That's true love. So there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot. So I hope that, we are just defining what full faith credit is, and it also deal with your substance, your monetary substance also. You know what I'm saying? Because when you deal with courts and civil laws and cases and all that, you're dealing with QSIP numbers, ledgers. So we're going to unpack that later on. But the most important thing now is how all of this is going to benefit us, right? As a people, benefit us as families, legacy, and also the freedom for a man, because it's just not right, man. It's not fair. We can't allow that. We have to say, because if we don't fix this in the judicial system, then a lot of innocent people are going to be jailed, or a lot of guilty people are going to be let out. Everything is going to be imbalanced and chaotic. And you don't need that to be knocking on your door. Boom. Knocks on your door. Boom, 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 boom. This and that. Now, you got brothers now fighting for child support and stuff like that. You got brothers right now in court cases. You know what I'm saying? They have to deal with all that stuff. But when you go in there with the intentions and saying, man, I hope the judge is fair. You know, but if the judge is dealing with cases that set precedents of things that are not right, he's going to follow that suit. Most of your lawyers are corrupted. Most of your judges are corrupted, man. They tell you that in the movies. The Godfather, too. They just tell you there's some corrupted people out there. And they got to do what they have to do, but you have to make sure that you're able to deal with that you're able to protect yourself from that. And we as a whole, as a system, the judicial system needs to be honorable. It needs to be proper. You know what I'm saying? And it needs that to stand on those principles. The United Nations also have a judiciary committee that lay down certain canons and principles that are across the board for all different countries that want to fall under the United Nations. And not that I'm so invested in all that. It's just that in reality, it's just like saving the planet. So you're saving the systems that are operating within the planet, humanity, how we deal with each other. Other star systems have their systems. Other communities, if you want to go into that extraterrestrial talk, you know, the Galactical Confederation is a confederation that has laws and bylaws. And want to make sure that we're honorable. We're sitting on that committee, our representative, and that they're looking at us. The multiverse is looking at us as being honorable. You know. Anyway, let me leave it there. Peace and blessing, and speak with y'all later. Peace. And let me play you this over here real quick before I leave. I'm still writing. This is just to motivate me to write. Okay? And then I'll be out.